So we've just lost, James has just left, our amazing mate and entomologist. He's just left after being here for a few days, and lo and behold, he's found another 130 species, another 130 invertebrates for the site, for the garden. So I just thought I'd share some of why we are thinking that that's happened, why this place is becoming more biodiverse. And the joy of it is that a big proportion, or a fair proportion, of that 130 species has come from a direct connection to the landscape changes that we've made. So we're starting to get a lot more deadwood species, and as you probably know, we have been adding a lot more dead stuff into this place. Whether it be logs and trunks that have come from other sites that we've planted upright as standing dead, or the usual log piles. And then we've been mildly abusing our weeping willow, as you know, which is my joy. Weeping things, can't do weeping things, then a bit sad. So this tree has already delivered quite a few new species to the garden, just because we've managed to get it to start to decay, as you can see on one side. So the bark's starting to come off, it's starting to look unhappy this side, and wonderfully this side is healthy, vigorous, growing like mad. So this is the dream team. This is standing dead that's going to stand for longer. You know what I mean? So it's got the live, it's got the tree's got the structure. It's not as wonderful as a hollowed out sort of oak tree, but it's that same principle of the majority of the tree being alive, and it's starting to decay in bits and bobs, which is the joy. So species have arrived on the back of this dead stuff, which we don't have enough of. And in the past, we've been mimicking dead things by drilling posts, haven't we? So drilling posts specifically for solitary bees. Well, these things would normally nest in decaying trees like this. So we don't have enough of these, so we have to drill holes in posts, which is a bit of a shame. If we had more of this stuff, we'd have to have less of this stuff. And as you know, the other thing that's happened, one of the other drivers, is us saying we don't want to leave the landscape as it is, in the respect that the whole of this surrounding area is clay, fertile soil, which is fine. But if we want to ramp up the biodiversity, we've got to ramp up the complexity of the landscape. And it's the complexity of the landscape that's the key. So we've been moving topsoil to my wife's bit of the garden. We've been exposing bare clay. We've been bringing in some sand from some road widening. We've been bringing in a bit of construction waste. We've basically been making the place more complicated. And if the landscape's more complicated, then, as you know, the flora becomes more complicated and more diverse, more importantly. So all the time we're looking for different materials. Here's some crushed brick. We're looking for topography. We're looking for structure, gabions filled with local houses, structural stuff, and we're looking for sandy banks as well. So sandy banks like this. This is some more sand from the road widening, just put in a pile. Now, what the wonderful thing about this is, and I will have to get James to collate what he's found, but so many species have arrived, and we've just dumped a few piles of sand. When you think we're in a 2-mile radius of clay soil, we've dumped a bit of sand. A huge amount of species have come in. So tiny interventions like this. Now, I know there's a bit of carbon involved in bringing in a bit of sand, and I'm really sorry. I do apologize, but these things, I think, are key. If we're going to ramp biodiversity up, we're going to really ramp biodiversity up because of the climate crisis, we've got to probably make some compromises and to start mixing the landscape up a bit. So all these, and the other thing about creating these landscapes, the other important thing I think about creating these landscapes, if you use construction waste and sands, if you want to reseed an area, in other words, if you want to direct sow an area, which has got to be the most sustainable way to create a new landscape. It's really hard to do it on topsoil, isn't it? And even if you manage to do it and get the topsoil weed free, it's really hard to keep it diverse, the planting. Whereas this area, for instance, This is construction waste and sand. This is about 8 years old. Hardly any work. Not that you don't want to be working in your landscape, but very little maintenance and very diverse still. So to my mind, that's the key, is just to keep making the place more chaotic and more and different. The couple of things we've done, and there's loads more things you can do. So we've done is added structure, maybe with the Gabion structures. We've added dead stuff by abusing trees and bringing in dead wood, and we've added sand as a sunny sand that's unvegetated or very sparsely vegetated. Those few interventions. Now there's tons more stuff. So if we're going to get James now to look at other invertebrate groups, what do they need? What's the landscape they need? What's the structures they need? And then start bringing those in and see what happens. At the moment, the substrate changes and the deadwood changes have made a big impact. But there's loads more groups of insects that we could work on and have a conversation around. And it makes gardening really exciting, I'd say. So we're sad to see James go, but we've got the data from James, and he's going to collate that for us into some sort of a package so I can be a bit more scientific about what we're doing. Let's hope. Okay.